It's 8:01 Central African time. Hello, Sunny Bonani. Welcome to race number 16 of the second tier Breakaway Racing League calendar. It is nominally the final race of the season, but thanks to the replay, which still needs to take place on the out in Barcelona at the Spanish Grand Prix, this is effectively the second last race. But that said, it may yet still be last chance saloon for the drivers that are stuck towards the bottom of the standings. Of course, a lot of them are represented here. It's a 16-driver grid as things currently stand. As you can see, the likes of Mfundo are here. He is currently the driver rock bottom of the Tier 2 standings. Can he pull off a miracle, can Mfundo? He's under an insane amount of pressure. Rock bottom of the standings on a total of 13 championship points. Ahead of him, marginally, is definitely Duke, who did join this Tier 2 season later than most. That must be said. That is the caveat, of course. Liam, currently third from bottom on 24 championship points. I'm taking a look up and down the grid. I do not see Liam over here, so perhaps Liam is running out of opportunities to stake his claim on survival. Kid K, is he here? Yes, he is 17th, I beg your pardon. So currently, Kid K is the last of the drivers who qualify for playoffs. The next being Marshy in P15 and Salbisango in P16. And then towards the top of the standings, it is this man, Tindo, who is on the verge of what would be a beautiful, memorable championship in the second tier of Breakaway League Racing. As we're just getting the word from the box that Liam is here. I did not spot him. Lipo. Oh, there is Liam. I beg your pardon. I was mistaken there, so thanks for that correction. Tindo was on the verge of what would be a sensational championship victory in the second tier of Breakaway League Racing, but it's not going to be easy. Hot on his tail is the 86er, who has 124 points compared to Tindo's 132. On to the business of the day. It's a sprint race followed by a feature race around this circuit in Imola. Welcome to Italy. Beautiful surroundings, as you can see. I do wonder what the weather is going to be like, what kind of action we will get. Of course, it's a battle to survive in Tier 2. It's the battle to make the playoffs. It's the battle to win the entire championship. Lungs is dipping in and out of the session, so hopefully we can see him racing properly. It's going to be 11 laps in the sprint race, followed by, of course, a 50% race around this here circuit. Looking forward to seeing what these drivers can do. And in these conditions, it's a reverse grid. So the start of the sprint race will be reverse order of the championship. So the likes of Mfundo, definitely Duke, Liam, Kid K, and so forth, they will be able to start the sprint from the front of the grid. And then the results of the sprint will determine the starting order for the main race. Beautiful day out here in Imola, slightly cloudy, not too intense as far as the weather is concerned, but it is, of course, very intense and very tense for the drivers that we have mentioned. Now, the rest of the championship, Debo Croc is third, Sun Hashira is fourth, Lipo is currently fifth, from Spy Zozo in sixth, Man Ray seventh, Context is currently eighth, Sigfig ninth, M. Shangu 10th, Liddy 11th, Twitch 12th, Lungs 13th, Esteta 14th, Marshy 15th, and then we have Salbusango 15th, Kid K 17th, Liam, definitely Duke, and Mfundo make up the bottom three. Thank you for joining us. Welcome to Tier 2 Breakaway Racing League action. Please like the stream if you have not already. I see the likes of Zotal in the comment section, and I think it was Bonk and a little bit earlier. Yes, Debo Croc is comfortable enough to be dipping in and out of the comment section, and also in the lobby itself. Well, my silent partner in the commentary box is none other than Ban Kobe, who is having a beautiful end to his Tier 1 season with some decent results. Meanwhile, here comes the sprint. It's 5 lights. It's the only time South Africa look forward to lights going out. Mfundo leads Liam into the rush towards turn 1. Kid K, huge contact with, is that Mfundo, who completely crashes out. It is an absolute mess. Went into the wall. His car flipped over, did Mfundo. And where is Liam? It's a three-way DNF between Mfundo, Selby Sango, and Tindo, the championship leader. Man, oh man, Kid K and Marshy lead the proceedings over here. And Sun Hashira has opted to DNF early doors as well. I do wonder if this is a procession of DNFs, if everybody is deliberately crashing out here. Yo, Bad Kobe, what on earth was that?
I have no idea what happened there. Good evening, everyone. Hey, I thought to myself, let me just try this out because this thing of racing is not working out for me. So I'll try to polish my English so that I can be a comprehensive candidate for the commentary box. But yeah, that was such a crazy start to the sprint. I'm so sad for Mfundo.
Mfundo needed a result. Mfundo just needed to be in the mix towards the end of the sprint. Remember, folks, the result of this sprint race determines the starting order for the feature race. Well, Gonse, it's good to see you in the comment section. And I see it is a full safety car here to answer some of your questions. The AlphaTauris are in formation. So says the Nucho, a.k.a. Peace. Kid K leads the race, courtesy of that lap 1 carnage. Could barely keep up. I saw an Alpine, which was almost sideways as it went screaming into the wall. Presumably that was Mfundo's Alpine. Not sure. Mfundo's teammate Man Ray is down at the back in P12 currently. As Texa, possibly a victim of that lap 1 carnage, coming into the pits. It's a brand new wing for the Aston Martin driver who, courtesy of this early pit stop, now finds himself at the back of the pack. But thankfully, it is going to be he's still going to be running, even though it's going to be from P12. And now we'll begin lap 2 behind the safety car. And Kaboza is, giving commiserations to Gansi in the comment section, saying, well, it's going to be tears once again for supporters of Mfundo. How did the first guy DNF? They seem to have run into each other quite violently in that first lap. Could not believe what was happening.
And another interesting thing that I just wanted to mention, I was doing some simulation earlier on with regards to the sprint, and I see no one pitting for softs. I would have started on softs because they can last you like 10 laps, and now the safety car is going to go around to maybe let's say 2 laps, and the racing will start around lap 4. So I think someone has to pit and call it, and he had an advantage in terms of the tire. So that's what I'd do.
They definitely do that, especially it's only 11 laps in this sprint, and under safety car you could just take advantage of that. Kid K leads this race from Marshy, who has gained 3 places courtesy of the carnage ahead of him. Look at that, such big 6th place advantage alongside Context. They're in a prime position here considering their pace. Once the safety car eventually comes in, Debo Croc has, lost the connection. He dips out of the session quite early on. Lungs, codenamed Guzu, up to P5, gaining 2 places. And look at Spy Zozo, who we know his straight line speed is usually something to marvel at. He goes quite aggressive as far as his low drag setups are concerned. So you could look ahead to him when the race restarts. I am Lipo, currently 7th with a time penalty to boot. M. Shengu, 8th, no movement for him. Debo Crap, the ghost thereof, currently P9 from Liam in 10th, who was one of the big losers. Interestingly, despite the safety car, Liam is risking it. He stayed out, broken wing and all. He is going to try and push as much as he can. He had a golden opportunity just to come into the pits here. I mean, it's a smaller field. He wouldn't have had to fight, the fast runners towards the back. But it's a curious decision by Liam there, but perhaps he's still quite comfortable there. And Man Ray, currently 11th, Espexa is currently 12th, as Ngawako, a.k.a. D-Wax, says we may as well change Mfundo's status on Discord to officially a Tier 3 driver. Well, Ngawako, D-Wax, not very comfortable at Mfundo's recovery prospects here. It's going to be a long way back for Mfundo, who was so desperate coming into today for points. Remember, Mfundo at the bottom of the standings has 13 points, and the gap between Mfundo and the safety of P17 is, remarkable, because Kid K is on 27 points. So Mfundo, if he would have somehow finished this race towards the front, he would have given himself a great opportunity to at least be in a good position at the start of the feature race. We now get the word that the safety car is coming in at the end of this lap. And Despite that, interestingly, Bankobi, looks like Estexa, he was on mediums. He came in for a fresh set of mediums again. So, yeah, not quite changing as far as tire strategies are concerned there.
Yeah, it's not going to make a difference because the 2 laps or the 3 laps that were done under the safety car. So he might also be at like a disadvantage because the front pack is on like scrap tires. So it's going to take a lot of work for him to switch on the tires. But we'll see.
Absolutely. Here goes the AlphaTauri pair starting to cut you off. Look at Marshy stealing the march on the inside of Kid K. He is absolutely ahead, well and truly. Superior straight line speed from Marshy, who resumes lap 4. Sensationally, Kid K goes off the racing line a little bit of the exit of turn 2. He manages to regain some advantage, but that gap is now 9/10, hovering out of DRS now. It's a second, the gap between P1 and P2. Kid K losing ground immediately, and now he is under pressure because Sig Fig is on the hunt, as is Context Zephyr, of course. That being that man, Justice. Looks like Sig Fig gets a cleaner exit compared to Kid K out of that left-hander, and right now the McLaren driver will be on the hunt, looking to line it up at the earliest opportunity. Kid K takes a wider line out of the exit of that particular left-hander, and now into the slower sequences of corners. Who will be braver on the brakes? Sig Fig almost going into the back of the AlphaTauri, but he's not quite close enough to get the move done. Behind Sig Fig is Context Zephyr by a factor of almost 4/10 of a second. So it is absolutely tight between the top 4, or rather I should say between P2, 3, and 4, because Marshy has absolutely sent it. 2.5 seconds in front is the AlphaTauri driver. Beautiful restart from Marshy, and Spizozo also hoping to stay in touch with this leading pack. Currently P5 is Tindo's teammate. So he is Alfa Romeo's hope to possibly win this sprint race, but a lot of racing still to go. Marshy, quickest lap, 120.235, as I see some of your reactions in the comment section to Liddy and everyone's comments. Here comes Mshengu on the attack versus Lipo. He takes the outside line going into turn 1. Will he go for it? Will be brave on the brake. Mshengu, super brave on the brake. A move reminiscent of Max Verstappen's in the early stages of the last year's F1 race in Imola. And Mshengu's now up to P6 with a beautiful overtake on Lipo, who is now in P7, trying to hang on to that DRS. Come on, Kid K, being cheered on in the comment section. The AlphaTauri driver currently second of the pair, 2.2 seconds behind his teammate, and he's used up about half of his battery within the space of a couple of laps. So Kid K fighting for his life to keep Sig Fig and Context behind him. He will hope that the battle between the McLaren and Mercedes behind him is super fierce, which will give Kid K a little bit of breathing room and a chance to eke out a little bit of an advantage. Sig Fig versus Context. The Mercedes driver thought about going for it, but he did not have enough pace coming into this particular chicane. Spizozo trying to stay in touch as much as he possibly can. He is also under pressure. Mshengu, we saw how clinical he was versus Kid Lipo. I beg your pardon, I am Lipo. I'm confused with the names. A couple of laps ago, as Debo Croc becomes the latest driver to retire from this session, promoting Lung's codename Guzu up to P11. It's another safety car. Debo Croc has lost it. It looks like in Sector 3, Kobe, on the exit of that chicane.
Yeah, that's so bad. But at least he's like second in the standing. He doesn't really need the points, so he must donate to the guys that need the points. So I think they need to pit for softs, and I think Menray is cutting it.
He's doing exactly that. Brand new soft. So Man Ray not wasting any time. Highly experienced driver is the Alpine man, who has been known this season for his antics in the simulation. Sensational over a single lap, but not quite managing to put the results together consistently. Man Ray, at this point of the season, is in P7. He's in those. He's just fighting to maintain his position in the playoff spots at the end of the season, and possibly get a promotion to the top tier, back to the top tier of Breakaway League Racing. Now, interestingly, this is a track that Man Ray perhaps will feel confident in. A couple of seasons ago, during the playoffs, he put in an absolute storming performance, claiming pole position and going on to win this race and this particular circuit. And look at that. The rain is starting to fall out here in Imola. And Kobe, we may yet be in that line for some decent drama in this race.
Yeah, but I think Mendre is still like on the correct strategy because he's going to have the most grip and it's not Koreans yet. Just hoping that the safety car will go in just before it gets too wet, so that he can capitalize on the time that he shows. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting race.
Absolutely. Lee was starting to think Man Ray could have gone for the inters, but like Bankobi has said, it's not quite at that crossover point where it's wet enough for those intermediate tire compounds to be the best option at this point. So we're going to wait as lap 6 becomes 7 for the safety car to come back into the pit and for racing to resume. And in these changing conditions, the sun blocked out by the clouds, the track conditions getting cooler. If it stays this way as far as the drizzle, then it's going to be advantage Man Ray. But sadly for him, he's fighting his way all the way from the back of the pack. And the only positions which gain points in the sprint race are positions 1 to 8, with the final P8 spot only earning a single point. So Man Ray is really going to have his work cut out for him. Now, under safety car, it's Marshy from Kid K, who thankfully is going to be within touching distance of his teammate and that other Alpha Tauri. Sage Fig is going to go immediately on the attack while defending Context in P4. Spy Zozo, P5, and Shengu, currently 6, on those mediums as well. So is I Am Lipo, medium tires, with that penalty of 5 seconds, sadly for I Am Lipo. Liam, behind Lipo, is in 8 from Estexa, and then we have Lung's codename Guzu, the ghost thereof, and Man Ray. So Man Ray should make quick work of the ghost of Lung's codename Guzu. Now, lap number 7, hopefully this is where the safety car comes back. What have you made of that action in the comment section? Don Radico says, Imola never fails to rain, as we get word from race control that the safety car is coming in at the end of this lap. Man, oh man, oh man. It's not worth it to pit for only 3 laps, so said Don Radical a little bit earlier on. Will Marshy catch Kid K off guard as far as that pace in that drag race towards in that sprint towards a turn 1? Will Kid K fall too far behind again? Well, stay tuned, folks. He's hoping not to be caught off guard this time. Look how close Kid K is to his teammate, but here comes Marshy through the final corner now. Is set to give it an absolute proper full send. Sige Fig is almost side by side with Context, and look at that, there goes Marshy on the main straight. Sige Fig, Context immediately on the attack. Spy Zozo thinking about going for it on the outside of Context, but not quite close enough. It's Marshy going for it, and Sige Fig attacking Kid K through turn 1 on the outside. Here comes Context as well. A 2-place loss for Kid K. Yes, it is. Context is through, or is he? No, it's not exactly. Turn 3, Kid K hangs on for dear life, but here comes the W13 up to P3. Context, a beautiful move, and M. Shengu is going to look to attack Kid K, who was in 6s and 7s, really struggling for tire temperature, as I Am Lipo goes off track behind the leading pack. Kid K now down to P4, lost a couple of places. Context is looking for the sprint race victory, and it's another yellow flag this time, which goes away quickly. Thankfully, we've had enough safety cars up until this point. On board now with Kid K, hunting down Context Zephyr. His teammate is in the lead by about half a second. Kid K struggling for grip in sector 2. Kid K goes off track. Kid K and M. Shengu make contact. M. Shengu has the line into the right-hander. Kid K fights back, but he's completely off track. He's struggling for grip. He's slipping. He's tumbling down the order. I'm slipping. I'm falling. I can't get P2, says Kid K, quoting DMX. And Context is a huge moment. Or is that M. Shengu? No, it's Sige Fig, who's had a huge spin, and now he's down to P7. Oh, no, he's gone completely off track. Spy pushed Lipo off. Says Capoza in the comments section, the McLaren driver will be absolutely fuming, and the battle for the race lead, the race win, is now between Marshy and Context, as the 86er becomes the latest late joiner of this race. These drivers are still going to risk it, Kobe. It's raining, it's getting more and more treacherous, but no one wants to risk losing track position.
Yeah, have a look at Mendray. I think he's gaining quite some time. It's going to be interesting how long the soft are going to last in this game. But I think he made a good call. He can pick it up for 3 minutes.
Absolutely. The bottom 4 drivers from Liam all the way down to I Am Lipo finally coming in, presumably for those intermediate tires. Lipo, the last of those to come into the pits. As Lancelot says, Man Ray is really making the most of those soft compound tires.
Ano usamil, Man Ray, usamil. At least I'm a soft tires pa na yan. I'm intermediate. Only 2 laps.
Yeah, perhaps they won't be caught, Pankobi. At this time, too little, too late.
Yeah. They won't catch up, and I called it, so I think I'm where I deserve to be. Because if I was driving, I would have made the wrong call. So yeah, I think I deserve the seat.
All right, Pankobi calling it early, and now the battle for the race win is between this pair, Context, who we're on board with, versus Marshy 670, who will hang on and who will keep their advantage towards the end of proceedings here. By now, the intermediate tire runners will be at least in a feeling, well, better as far as their own traction is concerned. So it's a battle of wit, a battle of keeping it clean, keeping it without mistakes between now and the end of proceedings. The top three have built a 2.7 second buffer between themselves and Estexa, who is currently running in P4. We'll hop on board now with Mshengu, who's got the front row seat to this battle for the race lead, the possible race win in the penultimate lap of the sprint race out here in Imola. A beautiful exit coming out of those initial sequences of corners Mshengu gets as he tries to make sure that he does not make any issues. And what a sensational performance by Marshy it has been today to make sure that he finds himself within the reckoning for a memorable race result. Marshy's season has really gone from strength to strength as the season has gone on along. Back on board with Mshengu we go as Crash says Liam is absolutely cooking. Down in P8, Liam, of course, opted to go long on that broken wing, but eventually relented, coming into the pits, presumably for that wing change and for a set of intermediate tire conditions in the rain out here in Imola. Mshengu losing a little bit of ground through Sector 2 as Context is still thinking about going for it. Context is completely struggling on the exit of that chicane, and Mshengu was within touching distance of a possible beautiful overtake. Now, Marshy has some breathing room, about a second, the gap almost between himself and Context, who goes completely unstuck in the penultimate corner, and he's down now to P3, and Estexa will smell blood. Estexa will go for it if the opportunity presents itself. Here comes the Aston Martin driver, who's looking to make up a podium finish for Team Aston Martin, a double podium that is, in the final lap of the sprint race out here in Imola. But Estexa is not going to risk anything unnecessary. He was completely conservative on the brakes, braking well before the likes of Context, not wanting to risk anything unnecessary as far as possible DNFs are concerned. But Estexa is now hunting down Context, and Marshy still leads from Mshengu by a factor of about a second and a half as they have begun this final lap. Look at that. Liam has caught up to the back of the Ghost of Lungs, codenamed Guzu. And Spizoza will also go through. And now Liam is really trying to bridge that gap between the chasing pack, and we'll see whether or not he can get that done. Spizoza on the hunt, on the attack in the final stages of this race. The Ghost of Lungs running P9. Kid K all the way at the back. P10 for him. I Am Lipo will bring it home, possibly in P11. Back to the battle for the race. Win the race lead. Oh, look at that. Context Vapor coming a little... squirrely there out of the exit of that left-hander before him. This is the chicane where he lost his position to Mshengu. This time, it's a clean exit out of the chicane. Manages to stay in touch with Mshengu. It is the final lap of a dramatic sprint out here in Imola. And the man who is pretty much the story of the day, or the driver of the day, it should be said, is none other than Marshy, who has been sensational and brings it home across the line to win the sprint in Imola. Mshengu will come home P2, Context in third, and the Aston Martin of Estexa P4. Man Ray on those softs will come home in P5, Sigefig 6. Liam will bring it home in P7. No, will he? Here comes Spizozo out of the final corner. Oh, it's a last gasp overtake by Spizozo, who will claim 2 points compared to Liam's 1. So a beautiful move at the end of this sprint from Spizozo, the veteran driver, showing what he's made of. All that experience coming to bear in the final lap of the sprint. Kid K was in such a great position, but struggled in the crossover conditions when the rain started to fall. He'll come home P9. The Ghost of Lungs, codenamed Guzu, P10, and I Am Lipo thereafter. Man, what a dramatic race we have had here. Thank you so much for joining us, folks. And do stay tuned. Up next, of course, is the feature race. Was Mshengu your driver of the day? Let me know in the comments as far as the sprint is concerned. We still have, of course, the main feature race to come up. Fire emojis for Liam. Yes, Bankobi.
Yeah, my driver of the day would be Context because he was struggling in the race and in the rain too, and he gave everyone context as to how hard it is to keep mediums going during these conditions. So that was interesting. Disappointed that Kid K fumbled and went all the way up. And Menray, good points. Seeing that before the crossover, he was like second last, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, good points nonetheless for the TTK.
TTK Time Trial King needs to, show what he's made of in the upcoming feature race. The likes of Mfundo, Selby, Songo, Tindo, dramatically crashing out of that initial initial sequences of laps. Debo Croc also among the drivers who could not finish the sprint race. Sadly for Mfundo, he had a really great opportunity here to do something special in the sprint, but that lap 1 DNF costing him dearly, and he will now start the feature race all the way at the back. And sadly for Mfundo, he'll be joined at the back by none other than the 86er, who is now in the lobby and ready to take his place among the starting pack. So lots of work for Mfundo to do. It is the feature race coming up next, folks. Just 30 seconds we have. The countdown has begun. Thank you very much for joining us. Remember to like the stream if you have not already. It is race 16, Tier 2 Breakaway Racing League action. Welcome to Imola. As you can see on your screen, the panel on the right-hand side, the graphic, I beg your pardon, the 86er has joined the lobby. I do hope you'll be able to actually race in the actual feature race. Will give Mfundo a lot to think about towards the back of the pack. Look at that. Once again, it's overcast, but we do have a decent amount of sunshine. If it's going to be another race in changing conditions, we're in for another sprinkling of drama. Hopefully, it can be a clean entry in towards turn 1. I think, some mistakes and some...
What do you think the tire strategy is going to be? Hards, mediums, or mediums, hards?
I suppose it depends on the weather forecast, but I do expect maybe some of the drivers who in normal qualifying, maybe who wouldn't be starting towards the front, maybe they're going to go maybe they're going to start on mediums just to try and have a little bit of pace in the beginning and not be under too much pressure from the attacking pack behind them. We'll get a sense of how exactly the tire strategies will pan out. It's 5 lights. It's the only time South Africa's the fourth, so the lights going out. Marshy is in the lead of lap 1 in Imola. Mshengu attacks his teammate. Estexa on the outside. It looks like Context is hanging on to that P2 spot as we rush towards turn 1. It looks like Estexa has stolen the march on Mshengu into that initial corner. Man Ray almost making contact with one of the cars in that midfield pack, but Man Ray, does he lose a little bit of momentum? Yes, he slips down to P6. Sidgefig is running in P5 currently. They stay in formation. I want to make sure that you have all the details that you need. Look at that. Mshengu losing 2 positions. Estexa up to P3. Sidgefig gaining 1. Man Ray is one of the losers. Lipo cuts a corner and gets a penalty for those early efforts. So it's Marshy from Context from Estexa in the lead of this race. Both Context and Estexa gaining 1 position. Mshengu, of course, not so happy with his race start. Thankfully, it is no early drama as we saw in the sprint race. Marshy managing to keep it together. And look at that gap, a second and a half as Estexa goes on the attack versus Context into the chicane. He breaks on the brakes. Was Estexa, but he goes off track trying to fight that on the exit. Will Context steal the march? No. Context loses that position. And the Aston Martin of Estexa with a beautiful race start. Now up to P2. Marshy is moving, says Zotal in the comment section, responding to that sensational showing that the Aston Martin driver is putting on, both in the sprint and the race proper. We are now watching Estexa who was trying to catch up to the back of the race leader. Context in that P3. Mshengu fighting his way versus Context in P4. Sage Fake is going to look to have his say on that particular fight. Man Ray versus Paizozo into turn 1. Who gets the move there? It's Paizozo who got the advantage as someone goes off track. It's Kid K who went off track on the exit of turn 2. And there's a little bit of context. Sun Hashira, Liam overtaking Kid K, who loses 2 positions in the space of a single corner. And the 86er started at the back of the pack. He's gained 5 since the start of this race as Selby Sambo goes completely off track on the exit of that particular corner. Sun Hashira, the 86er, on a fight back attempt as far as this race is concerned, trying to claw their way up the standings all the way to the leading pack. On board now with the 86er, who joined the race late, but is going to be all on time as far as getting a good result is concerned. That's how he's possibly thinking, feeling. Ooh, look at that. Sun Hashira almost going to the back of Kid K through these slower sequences of corners. And now the 86er trying to catch up once again to the back of Sun Hashira, who goes for it on the inside of Kid K through the chicane. They make a little bit of contact, and look at the 86er almost going into the back of the AlphaTauri himself. It's beautiful battling. Kid K tries to fight the 86er who has the inside line, but he could not get that move done. The 86er now with a net 6 positions gained since the start of this race. Beautiful stuff by the Haas driver, who today has commandeered a Mercedes W13. Sensational stuff by the veteran driver. Look at the fight his way back to the top tier of Breakaway League Racing. Back in the battle towards the lead now with Mshengu versus Context. Mshengu is going to want to get his own back after losing 2 positions in quick succession. Now he's hunting down Context. These two have battled beautifully both in the sprint and today. Oh, it's a double DNF. Sun Hashira and Liam have crashed out. In which sector? Looks like it's sector 2, bringing out a virtual... No, it's a full safety car. Oh, man. How on earth did that happen? And Fundo now having to slow down, courtesy of the early safety car coming out. We could not see exactly where the carnage was. It looks like Mfundo's only approaching the scene of the so-called crime now. And it's a safety car early doors as Liam versus Sun Hashira resulted in a double DNF for the Williams and Ferrari driver, respectively. And Mfundo trying to fight his way, claw his way back into some sort of contention here. He now has 2 fewer competitors to deal with. He is running all the way down from P15 is Mfundo, and with the safety car having come out, the race leader, the grid position situation is still Marshy in the lead from Istexa. Beautiful race up until this point, running P2. Context still third, and Mshengu trying to regain momentum and regain advantage, P4. Sage Fig, 5th. From Spizozo, and then Man Ray Tindo currently running in P8. Must be said, decent recovery for Tindo, who also started towards the back of this pack. The 86er currently 9th from Kid K, and then we have Lipo and Lungs codenamed Guzu as Selby Songo and Debo Croc come into the pits for a fresh set of hards for the Red Bull driver, and Debo Croc opts for brand new mediums in lap number 4 of 32. Lee responding to the early carnage that we've seen in these initial laps out here in Imola. And thankfully for Mfundo, he might get an overtake on one of these cars. It is Mfundo now sandwiched between Selby Songo and Debo Croc. Is Sun Hashira going to make it to the playoffs? Asks Lancelot. Well, he's got his work cut out for him. He's definitely still safe as Sun Hashira. He's on 93 points, and the gap between Sun Hashira and Lipo is not too substantial. 93 points for Sun Hashira. I am Lipo, currently on 86 points. So Sun Hashira is 4th, and players 4, 5, and 6 in the final league standings, they go through to the playoffs. So Sun Hashira might still be safe because behind I Am Lipo is Spizozo on 76 points, and then we have Man Ray on 75 points. Man Ray currently in P7. So of the drivers looking to fight their way into the playoff spots, it is advantage Context. Context currently on 74 points in P8 in the drivers' standings. Liddy says, I'm not racing the rest of the season, and I'm at risk of dipping down into the playoffs. at the opposite end of the field. Liddy currently 11th on 51 championship points over there, so definitely got his work cut out for him. Just to give you a sense of how this race has panned out, Tindo now among the biggest movers alongside the likes of the 86er, who has gained 8 places compared to Tindo's 6 since the start of proceedings here in Imola. And, well, Mfundo going to have to fight his way again from the back of the pack. Currently P14. Got his work cut out for him. Lots of work for Mfundo to do. He had not pitted as yet. And look at that. Mfundo dips out of the session. He had pitted. Mfundo, Selby Sango, Debo Croc, the drivers who had already come into the pits. Hopefully Mfundo can find his way back into the lobby. It's his Ghost currently out on track. Debo Croc will waste no time overtaking the Ghost of Mfundo at this point. Mfundo, who is so desperate for points, is really fighting for his life at the back of the pack. Debo Croc is going to take full advantage if Mfundo cannot re-establish connection between now and the beginning of lap 6, when the safety car comes in. Thankfully, Mfundo is back, rejoined the lobby just in time to see the message from race control, giving us the word that the safety car is coming in at the end of lap number 5. So we will be back, led by none other than Marshy. What a day for the AlphaTauri driver. Beautiful, cool, calm, collected performance from Marshy, who was pretty much unflustered as the leading pack of the sprint race crumbled around him. Took full advantage and led the rest of the sprint race pretty much from restart all the way to the checkered flag. And now we'll begin lap number 6 as the lead car in Imola. Welcome, folks. If you've just joined us, you're in time for a beautifully dramatic race out here. Behind Marshy are Context and Espexa, who are literally side by side. And Shangu goes into the back of Sage Fig, who goes off track, having taken damage. Man, oh man, it's a huge, huge moment of contact between some of these drivers, and looks like Sage Fig came off second best there. He slipped all the way down to P9, trying to fight his way back. Marshy leads from Espexa at the moment. Spizozo has just gone for an audacious overtake on M. Shangu, who is quite possibly struggling, having made contact with the back of Sage Fig over there. M. Shangu may yet slip and slide down the pecking order here. We're going to watch him to see how he fares. Look at that. Here comes Man Ray. Through goes Man Ray, possibly. Well, he's going to go for it. On the outside is the Alpine. They make contact, and who's that? It's the 86er, who had a huge moment going completely off track, and after gaining 8 positions is now at the back of the pack and is wingless. The 86er really coming unstuck, such an experienced driver, really having huge moments, spinning and going completely off track at that moment there. M. Shangu struggling for grip, having made contact early. Look at Sage Fig. He's hunting to regain his position. He's now up to P7, and he's right on the tail of the likes of Man Ray. Behind Sage Fig is Tindo and the duo of Kid K and Selby Sango. Look at Sage Fig as the likes of M. Shangu struggles for grip. Ahead of him, Sage Fig versus M. Shangu round 2. It's a double Aston Martin team ahead of the McLaren. It looks like they almost went 3 wide in the penultimate corner over there. Sage Fig with an audacious double dive. He drove both of the Aston Martins off track, and himself, he's now down to P10. Mistakes all over this track as these drivers go overly aggressive. Selby Songo trying to fight his way back. Who comes into the pit? It's Tindo, perhaps having taken early damage, but sadly for Tindo, it's a 5-second penalty because he was speeding into the pit lane. It's so tough out there, says Lancelot. What is going on? Says Zoltal in the comment section. Tindo, Mshangu, Estetza, the 86er currently in the pits. All 4 of those drivers having taken such significant damage. 3 of them opt for a set of soft compound tires. Let's hop on board there and see exactly what is going on. So busy on the pit lane. The Alfa Romeo of Tindo makes its way out. Here comes the duo of Mshangu and Espexa. And sadly for Espexa, it was a double stack, meaning that he will lose position even to the likes of 86er, who's now making his way out of the pit lane. Back to the battles we go. Debo Croc, Kid K, Mfundo mired in a midfield battle. What a good day for Mfundo. He was all the way at the back of the pack, but he finds himself within the reckoning for a decent point haul. But with just tonight and one more race to go, will it be enough for Mfundo to fight his way into the playoffs? He's rock bottom of the standings is Mfundo, but he's down but not out for the count as yet. P8, and here he comes now into the chicane, trying to catch up to the back of Debo Croc. who is himself trying to attack Kid K. Here comes the Ferrari on the outside of Kid K. It'll turn into the outside line and through this right-hander, and Kid K not quite close enough. It's a clean overtake for Debo Croc, and Fundo is going to try to catch up now to the back of the Alpha Tauri driver. Man Ray, what do you take for him? He's made so many moves, he's now up to P4. Meanwhile, Context is the driver on the attack versus the race leader. It's Marshy versus Context in lap number 8 of a total 32 laps in this feature race. Now, we have gray skies. I do wonder if we will see even more rain, as was the case during the sprint race. Perhaps we might get rain, and perhaps that is why the likes of M. Shangu and the 86er opted for a set of soft compound tires so early on in this race. Perhaps we will get more rain, and that will definitely make things a dash more interesting. Let's see now how Context will take his battle versus Marshy. Is pretty much a clean through the apexes there, and the top two doing very well, getting a 2.5 second buffer between themselves and Spizozo behind them into the chicane now. Looks like Context carries a lot more speed, but on the exit, it's Marshy with a cleaner exit. That gap now half a second. So Context with his work cut out for him in this 8th lap of 32. Meanwhile, behind this leading pair, the likes of Selby Sango, having a titanic tussle with Debo Croc, who's immediately going to fight back. On the inside goes Debo Croc, and it's an overtake, and Selby Sango overtaking the likes of Kid K, who's trying to hang on to the back. Oh, Kid K goes into the back of the Ferrari, and Selby Sango is out. It's a double DNF by Kid K. Even Mfundo makes it a 3-way crash in lap number 8 of 32. It's drama in Imola. What is going on? Mfundo, Kid K, Selby Sango KO'd in lap 8 of 32. And that, folks, may be that. We may yet be waving goodbye to Mfundo as far as Tier 2 action of the Breakaway Racing League. Man, oh man, oh man. Debo Croc was one of the casualties when Kid K went into the back of that 3-way fight, barely believing. Those are some of your responses in the comment section to that carnage, which took out 3 drivers. Kid K, Mfundo, Selby Sango. Make it a total of 5 drivers to have crashed out of this race in Imola. Context Zephyr now is the driver in the lead of this race. Marshy running in P2. I'm not sure what that was. I could barely believe it. I'm seeing your responses in the comments. A lot of hows, a lot of whats, a lot of what the heck is going on. We saw that. It was one of those rare moments where the camera was at the right place at the right time. We were watching that midfield battle, and it turned out to be absolute carnage. The top 2 drivers coming into the pits, I should say the top 1, because it's Context who comes in. Marshy opts to stay out. Interestingly, Spizozo too fast, too eager into the pit lane. P3 for Spizozo. As things currently stand, we're going to see what tire compound the Alfa Romeo driver goes with. It's a brand spanking new set of hard compound tires. Comes out hoping to be within the reckoning for a decent midfield finish. Kid K barely believing his luck. That huge incident which took out 3 cars, as we saw. Lungs, codenamed Guzu, still ghosted out. Tindo, following all that carnage, is now running in P8. He's going to hope to overtake Man Ray, who has just fitted a set of hard compound tires in the 10th of 32 laps. Is Marshy looking at the weather, asks Zotal with an inquisitive tone. I do wonder. Tindo, now P8. I am Lipo, now P9, having served that 5-second time penalty that did earn earlier on. Mshangu, now running in 10th, will be grateful to still be running. He just saw so much carnage, did Mshangu, both in the sprint and the feature race. But in both instances, Mshangu unscathed. Safe, currently in P10. Got his work cut out for him. 3-lap old soft compound tires. The 86er, Gao Tsang, veteran driver looking to claw his way back to the top tier Breakaway League Racing, currently running P11. Aztexa, P12. Well, folks, if you've just joined, it's been a dramatic race out here in Italy. We have lost Mfundo, Kid K, Selby Sango in one fell swoop a couple of laps ago. Liam and Sun Hashira were the first 2 DNFs at an earlier stage of this race. Marshy now leads from Debo Croc. Will Marshy come to regret this decision to stay out? Well. Don Rabico reckons, you know what? If it rains out here, only 5 drivers will finish this race. Oh, man. It's been carnage. Not such a great advertisement for Tier 2 Breakaway League action, especially considering in more recent races we did not have safety cars. We did not have 2 in a incident. So Sig Fig now has a second bite at the cherry as far as a decent race result is concerned. Had that huge moment, I think it was Mshengu who crashed into the back of Sig Fig earlier on, forcing the driver to go completely tumbling totally down the order, but now, courtesy of this most recent set of DNFs, Sig Fig now recovering all the way up to P3. But look at that, 10-lap-old medium compound tires. It may not yet be that clear-cut for Sig Fig. Marshy, will you regret staying out as long as you have? Hello, Wangabo, joining us, of course, from the UK. It's always good to see you in the comment section. Lancelot says, we shall welcome Mfindo to Tier 3 with open arms.
No, it's Lancelot. I'm summoning a recapet niana. It's in the catering go Tier 3.
Yes, perhaps the catering for the Tier 3 welcome party is going to be decent.
I'm summoning a Hameriana at least. Namascons. It's constant in the Hameranda. I'm summoning Fund at least as of a welcome.
The safety car is coming in at the end of this lap as we all contemplate Mfundo's welcome ceremony to the 3rd tier of Breakaway League Racing. It's been a really tough time for Mfundo, who has in recent times made the transition to the racing wheel from the controller. And of course, sadly for Mfundo, his season was compromised by commitments outside of the league. Of course, he is a man looking to better himself, to improve. He's studying towards higher qualifications, is Mfundo. And of course, it does have a flourishing professional life. But it has affected performances as far as league racing is concerned. Debo Croc versus Marshy is the battle that we are about to watch as far as this race lead is concerned. Debo Croc, Bongani and Gwenya hunting down Marshy, but it's not going to be that clear cut because behind Debo is Sig Fig and Context. And here goes Marshy, sending it down towards turn 1. Context looking to stay in touch with Sig Fig in front of him. Will Context be able to do that? Down towards turn 1 they come. It's Marshy hanging on to the lead, and Debo Croc gets the move done on they make a little bit of contact, Debo and Sig Fig. But it's Sig Fig hanging on to that P3 spot. Context hanging on for dear life, trying to have a say on this battle for the race lead. On board with Context we go, as he's got the front row seats to the top 3 battle. He hangs on to the Context behind him. Is a huge battle, both the Alfa Romeos making contact. Spidozo and Tindo. 2 cars going spinning off. It's Tindo and Man Ray. It's a nightmare restart for the veteran drivers. Now with the back of the pack, they would have been hoping to claw their way up. But Man Ray, Time Tao King, is now king of the bottom of the pack. He's now P12, Tindo P11, and Lipo versus the 86er is a huge battle, of which the veteran Tier 2 driver, that being the 86er, has managed to come out on top of that battle in P7. Battles all over the pack here, folks, as looking on board with the 86er, you can get a sense of who gets the cleaner exit between the 86er and Msengu. Tindo overtakes the ghost of Lung's codenamed Guzu further down the pack, while the likes of Sig Fig is still in the hunt for those top 2 positions. Marshy doing a spectacular job on aging medium compound tires as he takes those tires to 13 total laps. Man, oh man, oh man, I see your reactions to that huge incident that we saw between the likes of Tindo and Man Ray. It's absolute pandemonium. It's drama in the 2nd tier of Breakaway League Racing here. Sig Fig doing a decent job as well on his own aging set of medium compound tires. He is looking to have his say in the battle versus Debo Croc ahead of him. Context tried to really duke it out versus Sig Fig, but was not close enough to get that move done. I'm going to join the Mercedes team battle up front. So says Nebo, presumably, possibly talking about the 86er, a.k.a. Gallo at Sang. Well, he's got his work cut out for him, does the 86er. Currently running P7, looking to take Mshengu's position from him. This is Context, who is in a prime position here to cement his place within the playoffs. Remember, before tonight, Context was in P8 on 74 points. and right now he is in a prime position to be taken full advantage to secure even more points to guarantee, at the very least, his participation in the playoffs. So, the drivers in Tier 1 who are in those bottom playoff spots, watch out, because Sage Fig and Context are going to give you a run for your money, as will the likes of Lipo, as race control finally enables DRS in lap number 14 of 32. Of course, we've now had 3 laps since the safety car came in, thus the DRS being enabled at this particular point, and we'll get a sense of just how well Context can fare in this battle versus Sage Fig. He's used up about half of his battery in the space of the 3 laps since the restart. So, not exactly managing those batteries well. Spizozo on the attack, almost making contact with the back of the Mercedes. Spizozo thought about it, but it was not close enough. And now, look at that. It's Context overtaking Debo Croc. What happened to Debo? Oh, he lost connection. He's disconnected and he's tumbling down the order as Debo Croc. That promotes Context without a fight up to P3. Spizozo, no, up to P4. And Mshengu is also in within a shout. So Debo Croc, nightmare scenario. He's tumbling. Even the 86er has overtaken the ghost of Debo Croc at this particular point of the race. On board now with the 86er, looking to have his say on this particular battle, but he's not quite close enough coming into the chicane. Oh, look at that three-way battle. Mshengu, Spizozo, Context navigate the chicane cleanly. They're so close. It's a DRS train all the way from Context down to pretty much the 86er. Lipo losing a little bit of ground in running in P7 currently as things stand. In the lead of this race is none other than Marshy, who has had a storming performance in Imola, leading the race by 2 seconds, but we are watching this midfield tussle between the 86er, Mshengu, Spizozo. Look at that. Looks like Mshengu is struggling for power. The 86er with DRS and ERS, superior speed in a straight line. Oh, they make a contact. 86er nudging Mshengu off track, as now he earns himself a 3-second time penalty. Mshengu will not be happy with that. The 86er going for an absolute send over there and making contact with Mshengu in the process. But now he is up, is Galilitsang, the 86er, to P5, and Spizozo is next in the 86er sight. That 3-second time penalty may yet cost the 86er dearly when all is said and done at the end of this here race. So do stay tuned, folks. It has been an absolutely beautiful race as the likes of Zotal and Crash respond to the 86ers antics in lap number 15 of 32. On board now with Spizozo, who is hunting down Context for the pride of Team Alfa Romeo. There's a yellow flag behind the main axle here. I do wonder who that is for. It looks like the slow-moving one of the Alpines. It's a Man Ray who may have had an issue all the way down in P10. Bought a yellow flag, but we'll stay in touch with this battle, which is heating up with each and every passing lap. Ooh, Spizozo was quite careful there, as Crash remarks that Marshy has them all by the by the advantage, by the neck, to put it mildly. The 86er on the attack, same stretch of track where he overtook Mshengu. Context versus Sage Fig has ooh, look at that. It's the 86er on the inside of Spizozo through that sequence of corners. No contact this time. It's a clean overtake by the 86er. And Mshengu looks to get the move done on Spizozo. He does get that done. Beautiful overtake, but sadly for Spizozo, losing 2 positions in the space of a couple of corners. Spizozo in 6s and 7s here. Context is now up to P2, hunting down Marshy. He overtook Sage Fig in some action off track. It is a family show as far as commentary is concerned, so I tried not to go to quote you directly there, Crash. Yes, PG-12 commentary in the second tier of Breakaway Racing League action. Thank you for joining us, folks. Remember to like the stream if you have not already. It's been a sensationally entertaining race as we watch Context try to catch up to the race leader. Sage Fig goes off the track, coming out of that particular chicane, loses a little bit of ground. That gap between himself and Context now 0.6 of a second. Sage Fig still has about 48% of their battery power, so not a bad outcome thus far. Context trying to stay out of their clutches has about 33%. Now, in lap number 17, Sage Fig finally comes into the pits, and that'll promote the likes of the 86er and Spizozo into positions 3 and 4, respectively. Sage Fig currently in the pits. I just want to make sure we have all of the necessary info that you would need. Sage Fig and Mshengu, currently the drivers that are in the pit. Lipo, decent day for him, currently P7, trying to keep Man Ray at bay. the veteran Alpine driver, currently in P8 on a track that I'm pretty sure he does enjoy based on Man Ray's previous performances in seasons gone by and in playoffs gone by. But Man Ray losing ground to I Am Lipo, who has now got Espexa in his clutches. And going into that slower left-hand corner, it looked like for a second Lipo might have made contact with the back of the Aston Martin. Not quite. They both go off track. Oh, Lipo, what is going on there? Pretty much following the Aston Martin ahead of him. They both went completely off track. It was almost a synchronized spinning there in lap 17 of 32 as Marshy is being urged to come into the pits. Finally, it's lap number 17, and Marshy has yet to pit. Still the same set of medium compound tires, and Marshy is still hanging on for dear life here, draining that battery down to about 32% as he passes the pit lane without coming in at all there. So, a lot of work for Marshy to do, and I suppose the net leader of this race is Context. What a day for Justice. Clinical performance. Has had to navigate so much drama in and around him, but he's hanging on to that P2 spot, being chased down by Galwal Tsang, the 86er, whose soft compound tires send him completely off the track on the same portion of the track where he came off in the sprint.
Mara 86 na kapsong lanche na go. Usunod sa nag-uspan ni ganda. Usuma podium place. Mara 86 usutin na kapsong lan.
Yes, I can't believe it. The 86er Galwal Tsang, those 11-lap-old soft compound tires, screaming, complaining, and sending him, careening off the track in dramatic fashion there. He's going to have his work cut out for him. He's now mired in a midfield battle again. He's going to hope for another safety car if he's going to have a shot here towards a decent result. Look at that. Context now within touching distance within DRS. So it might have been a mistake by Marshy off camera. Marshy finally in lap 18 brings those medium compound tires into the pits, promoting Context Zephyr, aka Justice, into the lead of the race. Tindo on his recovery is now within up to the podium places, and Marshy is getting chowed by experience. So says Mantla, aka Romeo, in the comment section. Finally, in lap 18, fitting a fresh set of hard compound tires towards the end. Almost time to watch SSL Mango versus Mercurial Caesar in Tier 3 action. Absolutely, Lancelot. We look forward to that always. Marshy comes out in P7. The 86er, whose mistakes that cost him, is now down to P9. Make that P10 because Mshengu has surpassed the veteran driver. Well, folks, it's a beautifully dramatic end to this race that we've got in store. And coming up next in the sequence of battles is the intra-team battle for Team AlphaTauri. We've seen them make contact before, all the way back in Baku. It's Tindo versus Spaizozo, as the Tier 3 action is soon to begin, folks. Oh, look at that, Tindo coming through the chicane, getting much more speed than Spaizozo, almost going to the back of his teammate, Tindo there. That was almost a nightmarish result for Team AlphaTauri. Fred Vassar's former team. Tindo almost completely going into his teammates. Spaizozo, not such a clean exit of the final corner. Spaizozo is going to get overtaken on the same stretch of track where Spaizozo, overtook someone else earlier on today. Mshengu, latest driver to get a time penalty, and Tindo gets the cleanest of overtakes in lap number 20 of 32. So, the mission now for Tindo is hunt down Context. But of course, sadly for Tindo and Spaizozo, they have to negotiate 5 seconds worth of time penalties. Liam is in the comments section. He was saying all Sun Hashra had to do was just be patient. Liam, we do commiserate with you. It's so sorry to see you crashing out so dramatically there in that double DNF with Sun Hashra. We do hope to see you do your thing and show us your class once again, Liam, in the final race of the season, which is going to be, of course, the replay of the Spanish Grand Prix. Marshy followed the strategy to the T. So says Bennett Covey in the comment section. Context is the leader, the protagonist of this race, with 12 laps of running still to go, soon to be 11, leading by almost 6 seconds. In fact, make that 6 seconds at this point. Tindo and Spaizozo could make it a double podium for Alfa Romeo. Running in P2 and 3. I Am Lipo. What a result for Lipo, P4. No time penalties for him. So if we get another safety car dramatically here, it's going to be advantage Lipo towards the end here in the battle for those top spots. But, of course, all we have to do now is just watch the unfolding action. Espexa, Team Aston Martin, P5. Man Ray, TTK, veteran driver, is under duress. It looks like, no, it's the ghost of Lung's codename Guzu, just behind Man Ray. So Marshy is next up in the drivers in the midfield as Mshengu takes the fastest lap, 119.706. Mshengu currently running in P8, hunted down by Sidgefig. We'll stay on board now with these two and see exactly how they'll fare. Look at that. Mshengu trying to keep Sidgefig at bay. That red light is flashing. Battery power down to 10% or less. Can Sidgefig take advantage? His battery power not exactly too far ahead. 22 or so odd percent. So Sidgefig is really just going to have to play the long game here. Be patient and try and wait out Mshengu. Force the Aston Martin drive into mistakes. And behind them, Debo Croc spins out on the same corner where the 86er came unstuck. Speaking of the 86er, he takes advantage of Debo Croc's little spin there. 86er now up to P10. And he's just going to hope to build a 3-second buffer between himself and Debo Croc. Otherwise, the 86er will not be finishing in the points today. We'll resume the battle between Sidgefig and Mshengu. As ahead of them, the likes of Manray and Espexa are still battling. Tindo versus Spaizoso has moved on towards lap number 22 of 36. So the Alfa Romeo pair are fighting ahead of the track. We'll catch up with them a little bit later. For now, it's Sidgefig versus Mshengu. They're now going to lap the ghost of Lung's codename Guzu in the 22nd of 32 laps. Folks, if you click on our channel icon, you will see that the Tier 3 race is soon to begin. So if you want to catch that action, perhaps side by side on a second screen, do that. And remember to like this stream and like the Tier 3 stream as well. We'll all hop over to the Tier 3 race when this one is over. Sidgefig managing to stay in touch with Mshengu, whose battery is screaming. It's been flashing for so long, Mshengu's battery. But Sidgefig not quite managing to eke out the advantage of a possible overtake over here. Mshengu does have that time penalty. So it is still advantage Sidgefig as far as this battle is concerned. It's a similar scenario between Manray and the driver ahead of him. What about Manray's battery management? It looks like he's almost at half battery remaining, 49% for Manray. Meanwhile, Espexa trying to hang on to his advantage, down to less than 10%. Espexa flashing, Manray trying to get this move done. We now have 9 laps of running to go, folks. Thank you for joining us. Remember to like the stream if you have not already. Welcome to Tier 2 action, Breakaway Racing League. It's Manray on the hunt versus Espexa, and it looks like I Am Lipo is fighting Marshy behind them. No, Lipo had to come into the pits for a brand new set of used set of hard compound tires for I Am Lipo. So perhaps he took some wing damage there. And sadly for Lipo, he's going to tumble possibly out of the points here. Yep, it's P11 for the McLaren driver. I beg your pardon there. Back to the battle between Manray and Espexa. Manray is teetering on the brink here. He's now trying to defend from Marshy. So the Aston Martin of Espexa managing to build a buffer of a second and a half from Manray. And now that has brought Manray into the clutches of Marshy, who is within touching distance over here. Get a sense of the performance of the race leader today. Context with a 5.8 second advantage to Tindo, who's running P2. Spaizoso currently third. This battle that we're watching is a whole 24 seconds behind the race leader. Marshy versus Manray into the final sequences of corners now. As Manray touches the apex without incident there. Marshy following close behind. Look at that. Marshy's battery management means he now has a golden opportunity to go for it. Look at that straight line speed that Manray is managing to eke out here. He's using his battery, was Manray, but Marshy will have the advantage of DRS. But will Marshy be close enough to go for it into turn 1? The answer is no. Manray with a comfortable advantage as the 86er, Galwal Tsang, is the fastest driver on track. 119.517 for Galwal Tsang, aka the 86er, running all the way back in P9 on 5-lap old medium compound tires. Now, beautiful sequences of battles that we've seen all throughout the track. At least Tindo pulled away. So says Crash. Yeah, look at that gap between Tindo and Spizoso. 2.5 seconds. So a definite advantage between Spizoso and Tindo over here. Yeah, it looks like Espexa may be struggling here. Why did he fall? He lost 2 places. Oh, Marshy didn't have to work too hard there. Still hunting down Man Ray is Marshy. Let's get back on board with the AlphaTauri driver who has had a sensational day. He's been faultless in the race, at least as far as track limits and penalties are concerned. His strategy, definitely something to be desired there. He did not pit when he had a golden opportunity under the safety car. Here he comes now on the attack versus Man Ray. It's going to be a clean, easy overtake. They're side by side, and Man Ray has no answer. Coming out of the exit of that final corner and down towards the main straight, Marshy ekes out a half-second advantage between himself and Man Ray. He's now up to P4, hunting down Spizoso, but that gap, possibly insurmountable at this point. 15 seconds is the gap between Marshy and Spizoso, who's currently running in that third and final podium spot. So beautiful performance by the pair of Alfa Romeo drivers and the leading context. Crash says beautiful stuff by Marshy today. Beautiful driving. It's just the strategy which really let Marshy down. Yeah, we're going to see exactly how much that'll cost him by the time he gets to the end of this race. We'll hop back on board with Man Ray in this fight back versus Marshy. Not quite close enough on the exit of those corners in Sector 2 and through the chicane. That gap is now a 1.5 seconds. So Man Ray losing ground in those sequences of corners in the second sector. We've got a decent little train here from Espexa all the way to the 86er. Front row seats to this three-way battle. Front row seats going to the 86er, but sadly for him, he picked up another time penalty for track limit incursion. So the 86er really is going to struggle and tumble down the order towards the end of proceedings here. But thankfully for the 86er, he does have that 6.8 second buffer between himself and Debo Craft behind him. Both cars ahead of the 86er are flashing. It looks like Sichvig is going for it on Spexa. Sichvig has the inside line. Sichvig goes ahead of the Aston Martin into turn 1. And now it's going to be the 86's turn to see what he can do, because both the cars ahead of the 86er are flashing. And of course, coming up pretty soon is the corner where both 86er and Debo Croc spun out. It's a corner that the 86er does not quite enjoy, and coming out of that sequence of corners, he did not get the move done. This is the corner where the 86er came unstuck. Look at that car twitching through the exit of that left-hander, and he loses a little bit of ground. He's now 0.5 seconds behind. Espexa is the 86er, and he does have those time penalties to contend with. So not such smooth sailing from the veteran Tier 2 driver, who is in prime position to reclaim his place in the top tier of Breakaway League Racing next season. The 86er, before today's proceedings began, was of course in P2 in the driver's standings. He had 124 points at the start of today, whereas Tindo, leading the championship, had 132 championship points. Here comes the 86er now, penultimate corner. A little bit of a moment there, slight twitch of the steering wheel. He's got battery advantage, does the 86er. He also has DRS. They're going to go side by side, wheel to wheel action, and the 86er gets a clean overtake. He's a full car length ahead of the Aston Martin behind him, and now has Sichvig firmly fixed within his sights. It's the next target, but to get that overtake done on the Aston Martin, he did use up his battery. He's now down to 10% or less. So now it's the 86er's turn for that red light to be flashing at the back of what is today a Mercedes W13. On the hunt is a Galileo Tag, the 86er, as he once again twitches that steering wheel on the exit of that particular corner. Lap 27 of 32, folks. If you've just joined us, you've missed out on such a deliciously dramatic race out here in Imola, in Italy. Thank you for joining us belatedly. Like the stream if you have not already. Lap 27 of 32. 86er much braver on the brakes compared to Sichvig through those sequences of corners. 86er has managed to lose Spexa behind him. That gap now is 1.5 seconds between the 86er and the Aston Martin behind him. But ahead of him, crucially, is less than half a second. And his battery, he's been trying to harvest and charge up ever so slowly as this lap has been going on long. Once again, 86er braver on the brakes through these sequences of corners, tighter on the apex. 86er goes on the attack. The 86er uses that battery, and here he will go on the inside of Sage Fig. Wheel-to-wheel action, but Sage Fig is not going down without a fight. It's Wednesday action night, but the 86er marginally before it going into turn one is ahead, and it's a clean move, a clean overtake by Galileo Tsang, who waves goodbye from the vantage point of P7. But that time penalty will still cost the 86er dearly. And all those mistakes earlier on in this race are going to come back to haunt Galileo Tsang, aka the 86er. Back on board now with Man Ray in his battle versus M. Shangu. Still within DRS, the Aston Martin ahead of him is flashing. So all Man Ray needs to do now is just keep a cool, calm head, keep it clean, keep it without incident, and he'll have a golden opportunity to have his say on a possible P5 spot here. It is advantage Man Ray, considering, of course, M. Shengu's time penalty as well. So all Man Ray needs to do is just stay in touch and keep it clean. But he does not enjoy Sector 2, does Man Ray. It's always that part of the track where he really loses ground, and that gap, which was within DRS, is now a second and a half. So work to do for Man Ray in these final couple of laps. It's the final 3 laps to go, folks. And remember, if you have not already, to just like this stream and click on our channel icon if you want to see how the action in Tier 3 is panning out. Of course, they are concluding their season as well. And after tonight, Tier 2 will have the replay in Spain. That will be the final race of the Tier 2 season. Context is the driver in firm command and control of this race with a 5-second advantage between himself and Tindo, veteran driver in a prime position to really consolidate his lead of this championship. Spy Zozo running steady in P3. And Spy Zozo, before today's race, was actually in the playoff spots. He had 76 points, did Spy Zozo. Well within the playoff spots, and this possible podium finish is going to go a long way to secure that playoff spot at the very least. So very, very good going by Spy Zozo there. Marshy, what a day for him. It could have been a sensational race win were it not for strategy decisions. Finds himself 11 seconds behind Spy Zozo. But the battle to the lead, of course, is even greater, 23 seconds behind Context. So presumably Context could possibly come into the pits and still be challenging Marshy, possibly even come out ahead of Marshy with that pit stop gap between those two drivers. The rest of the lay of the land, folks, it is M. Shangu currently 5th, Man Ray running P6. The 86er, Galileo Tsang, 7th from Sage Fig, who was dispatched earlier. Estexa, currently 9th, and Debo Croc is in P10, meaning it is, of course, the last of the points position. Debo Croc, if things stay as they are, then, well, he would claim that final point as Crash gives a sensational, breathtaking, jaw-dropping update that SSL Mango in the Tier 3 race has dropped a 1 minute 15.7 in the qualification there, or rather in the fastest lap, because I presume that they would be having a sprint race as well, unless I'm mistaken. But yeah, 1:15 time is just absolutely jaw-dropping stuff. Cannot wait to see SSL Mango's progress throughout the Breakaway Racing League stable, and eventually to see Mango racing among the top-tier drivers in Breakaway, such as Don Radico, Seaclay, Smirch Django, Zotal, Malusi the Malusi, the list goes on. And of course the likes of Tindo, who would be joining. Now, Repo is about 9 seconds, almost 10 seconds behind Debo, running in 11th. And the ghost of Lung's codename Guzu just being lapped now by Man Ray. So beautiful stuff, beautiful performances, and some great consistency being shown all throughout the track. Context, Zephyr, aka Justice, has already begun, I beg your pardon, the penultimate lap. So he will very soon be sending us well on our way towards the checkered flag. And what a sensationally dramatic race it has been, folks. Towards the back of the pack in that fight Now for P9, looks like Debo Croc was within touching distance of Espexa. Both the Aston Martin and this Ferrari flashing. They've used up all their battery power, and it looks like behind them, Lipo has had a moment in Sector 1, bringing out a yellow flag, but thankfully Lipo is still running. Marcy killed himself with that strategy call, so says Caboza in the comment section. Absolutely, Debo Croc now trying to eke out to that P9 spot before all is said and done here, but all he may need to do is just stay within 3 seconds of etc. He still has, of course, to serve that 3-second time penalty. Debo Croc hunting down the Aston Martin ahead of him and into this final sequence of the corners. He is within DRS, but did he cross the DRS detection points in time to be able to open up that rear wing? Yes, he did, and he does open up that rear wing. Both of the cars in P9 and 10 flashing. Battery power drained almost completely at this point. Debo Croc tries he might to get on the back of Espexa. Could not do so just before turn 1. But that gap, he has managed to eke it out and squeeze it to about 6/10 of a second. Back on board with the Ferrari driver we go. Ooh, he's much more clinical in his braking was Debo Croc compared to Espexa. Lost a little bit of ground coming through that particular chicane. The left-hander, which did claim Debo Croc's scalp earlier on, does not seem to do so this time around. But folks, we have to give a massive word of appreciation to the driver who was inch perfect today. Contact suffer, crosses the line to win in Imola. And Tindo will come across the line in P2 in the feature race. Zozo makes it a double podium finish for Team Alfa Romeo. What a sensational performance by them. Marshy, what a day for them. Beautiful performance overall. It's P4 on top of the sprint race victory. M. Shengu crosses the line in P5, but courtesy of the penalties, that position goes to Mianre. M. Shengu 6th, and the 86er is going to hold his breath that those penalties don't cost him too much. Thankfully for him, they don't. P7 for him. Sitchfei comes home in P8, and Debo Croc P9 from Espexa, who will be the final driver to claim points out here in Imola. In lap 32 of 32, let us know who is your driver of the day. Driver of the day votes, let us know in the comment section, please. I Am Lipo will be the last active driver to cross the line, as he also looks to consolidate his place, at the very least, among the playoff positions. Man, oh man, oh man. Driver of the day, according to the game, is Tindo. Do you agree with that? I want to hear your thoughts in the comments section. Scary hours ahead with Mango and Mercurial Caesar. So said Smirch Jangle, who can already smell the smoke in the air. He can already see the ominous signs of what is to possibly come in the top tier of Breakaway League racing. But folks, take a bow, justice. Man, the wheels of justice turn slowly, but no, not in this case. He's absolutely sensational. Top step of the podium. Congratulations, Justice. How does that feel? Take us through your sprint and the feature race.
That was hectic because I'm even sweating right now. I think this race was more fighting the track than any other races. So, yeah, it was a tough one. Even though I was in front, I was not really pushing much in the race. I got the 6-second gap and I was like, you know what, let me just take the car home. Just take it home, not chasing the fastest lap, because one mistake, I'm in the wall and all the work will just go to nothing. But on the start, I knew that on the sprint race, I had to make positions on the start. Otherwise, passing there was going to be difficult, because that rolls over to the what do you call this? The main race. So I was happy that I made maximum position, not maximum per se, but only Marshall was in front of me, and I failed to get ahead of him when the race came. It was quite a hectic race, but nice nonetheless.
And both in the sprint and the main race, how difficult was it for you to kind of stay out of all the drama and all the crashes all around you?
No, it was actually easy. I just had to get ahead and everything behind me just unfolded. I just had to get ahead of everybody, and everybody behind me just did whatever they did, and I was like, okay, I'm happy. That position, I'm happy. And I think I won the race on strategy, because before the main race started, I was like, okay, I'm going to start on mediums to hards, because there will be minimum 2 safety cars. And I told myself, if we get a safety car around lap 9 or 10, I'm going to pit immediately. And I think that's where I beat Marshy. He decided to stay out, and I was like, game over.
Wow, man. Beautiful, beautiful stuff. Clinical. Congratulations, Justice. That was absolutely beautiful stuff. Now, before today, you were P8, and I'm pretty sure with all the action and all the drivers around you, that'll put you in great position, at the very least, to secure your playoff spot. Well, how confident are you going into the playoffs and the potential drivers that you'll be battling?
I'm very confident. I don't want look. We'll see what happens. I mean, you can DNF at any moment, but with my pace, I'm very confident with my pace. I think I can challenge any driver that I'm going to face. But hopefully, I make it to. I mean, is it? Well, I don't think I have a chance to make automatic promotion now, but hopefully, I get a chance. If people keep DNFing and I just win the next race, maybe I might have a chance.
Man, that would be really something sensational. Congratulations, Justice. Tindo is in the podium. Tindo is in the lead of the championship. You consolidate your lead, Tindo, at the top of the driver's standings. How does that feel? Take us through that heartbreak of the sprint and the race. What exactly happened there? Yo, Tindo, mic check. Is Tindo here? He is in the party chat, but we do not seem to hear.
Can you hear me? Can you
there
hear me?
we go. Yes, we can hear you now, Tindo.
No, sorry, I forgot to mute from the joypad. Yeah, it was a long race. Like on the sprint. These guys, it's always hard. If you start from the back, and there's so much that can happen. That's why it's always like wise as well to start in front. But today, unfortunate, it was a sprint, so we had to do a reverse grid, and they took me out on the first lap, on the first 50 meters, I guess. And then come to race, I was in the back. It was also like a bit tricky as well. I think I had an incident with Uman Ray
early in the race.
Sure, yeah. So I damaged my wing. I had to pit and change it for hards and change my wing as well. So I got a 5 seconds penalty again as usual. And then, I just like, okay, I'm going to push this house to the end, regardless of what. And I pushed them. So I was like, I'm not going to stop anybody. And I can see the guys in front of me when the safety car came out, I think 86er and Mshengu, they were actually on softs. I didn't know. I didn't understand that. I was like, hey, maybe they have a different strategy. So, and I could see that the second, I think it's the second safety car, if I'm not mistaken. And they kept on going again with those softs. So I was like, angzobabamba vel. So I knew at some point they were gonna have to pit, and I'm gonna make up some sort. And my teammate as well was quick today, so I was just like, let me play a patience game with him. I know where I'll get him, because I had the ERS for days, and I could see he was using it every time on the straight. So I was just playing a patience game, make sure that I'm closing the gap. Because he was more suffering. I think he was suffering, especially in the middle sector and the last sector as well. He was suffering every time, especially on that. There's this tricky corner, and I was gaining like 3 tenths or 4 tenths every time we get to that corner. So I was just like being patient with him. I also try not to push to the winner. He was flying. I tried to catch up, but Jeff. I was like, hey, your tires, man. And I was just like, hey, okay, let me just let him be. I wanted to close there's a time I think it came down to about 4 seconds. If I'm not mistaken. I just end up giving up. I'm like, no, I need to look after my tires as well. I need to finish the race. So, yeah.
Man, what a performance that was towards the end. And despite the time penalties that you and your teammates had, you still managed to build that gap to the drivers in P4 and behind. Tino, I want to ask you something. It's looking very, very likely that it's going to be, of course, automatic promotion, and very, very close to confirming the championship by the time the Spain race is over. Last season was heartbreaking for you in the playoffs, losing out on that tier 1 spot in controversial fashion. Is that something that really kind of spurred you to go all out this season, because you've been really, really consistent?
Yeah, I could talk. Guess who's back? I think the main goal was just to focus, like I said, make less mistakes. Try, even if you don't have a fast setup, some guys, they have sacrificed straight line speed and they are fast. Just make sure that you finish the race. And I'm sure most of my DNF this season has not been mostly on my fault,
Yeah,
but maybe someone bumped me or, someone take me out. It has always been like this. I've tried by all means, to avoid drama, to avoid all unnecessary fights, and just try and focus on your race, on my race. So I think that has been my goal, and hopefully I can continue in that way as we heading towards the tier 1 gang. And Zotal, I'm back.
Zotal, I'm back. Beautiful stuff, man. Can't wait to see what you do in the upcoming season. Congratulations. Another podium finish on top of a sensational season for you. We will catch you in the final tier 2 race in Spain. I believe that is possibly going to be on Monday. But thank you, everybody, for joining us in the comments section. We will see you in the Tier 3 race. Just click on our channel icon. The Tier 3 race is live now. Let's all go watch. Thank you and good night.
Thank you.